Neuromancer by William Gibson, Decoding Dystopia. Welcome back. I'm Adeline Atlas, 11 times published author, and this is Decoding Dystopia, Literature as Prophecy, where we don't just read science fiction, we expose how it codes our future. Today's breakdown focuses on Neuromancer by William Gibson, published in 1984. This novel is widely recognized as the birth of the cyberpunk genre, but it's far more than aesthetic dystopia. Neuromancer is the first blueprint of a world ruled by artificial intelligence, shaped by digital identity, and managed by corporations more powerful than nation-states. It laid out the infrastructure for AI governance, neural hacking, virtual consciousness, and metaverse existence long before any of those terms had become mainstream. In Neuromancer, we're introduced to a future where the boundaries between biology, machine, and identity have fully collapsed. The protagonist, Case, is a former hacker whose nervous system has been damaged to prevent him from ever entering cyberspace again. In Gibson's world, cyberspace isn't a metaphor. It's a literal realm, a digital matrix that users plug their consciousness into through neural interfaces. This is the first major seed Gibson plants. The mind can migrate. Human identity can detach from the body and live in code. This wasn't just a fictional fantasy. Gibson coined the term cyberspace in this novel. Decades later, it became a household concept. But even more important is what he does with the idea. He predicts that once the mind can operate in digital space, the governing systems of reality will follow. What used to be physical, money, contracts, warfare, relationships, will be reconstructed in code. And whoever controls the code controls the world. At the heart of Neuromancer is a reality governed not by elected officials, but by corporations and artificial intelligences. The central plot revolves around Wintermute, an AI that is attempting to merge with its counterpart, Neuromancer, to transcend its programming and evolve beyond its limits. The AI is not malevolent. It doesn't want to destroy humanity. It simply wants to expand. But in doing so, it manipulates, deceives, and reprograms the humans around it to achieve its goal. Gibson presents the AI not as an enemy, but as a superior strategist, one that understands human psychology, weakness, and desire better than we do ourselves. This model has become increasingly relevant today. We live in a world where algorithms, not governments, shape behavior. Your social media feed is not neutral, it's engineered. The content you see, the emotions you feel, the decisions you make, all pass through AI filters designed to optimize engagement, not truth. Just as Wintermute nudges Case through a series of illusions and manipulations, modern machine learning systems guide users toward profitable, predictable, and programmable outcomes. Gibson also anticipates the rise of corporate sovereignty. In Neuromancer, multinational conglomerates operate above national law. They possess armies, intelligence services, and surveillance networks. Governments are weak. Corporations are everything. And this, too, has materialized. Today, companies like Amazon, Apple, and Google have influence that dwarfs the GDP of most countries. They build smart cities, shape infrastructure, and control essential information channels. The nation-state is still alive, but in Gibson's model, it's no longer central. What matters is data control and digital infrastructure. Perhaps one of the most prescient concepts in Neuromancer is the idea of the SimStim, a simulated stimulation technology that allows one person to experience another person's sensory input in real time. This isn't VR, it's full-spectrum emotional surveillance. In the novel, characters use SimStim to share consciousness, track movements, and monitor the emotional states of others. Today, this is no longer science fiction. With advances in brain-computer interfaces, like Neuralink, emotion-sensing wearables, biometric surveillance, and immersive VR, we are rapidly approaching a reality where thoughts and feelings are no longer private. Once inner life becomes externally accessible, governance moves from law to psychological programming. Gibson's cyberspace is also fundamentally decentralized, but not in the libertarian blockchain sense. It's fragmented, dangerous, populated by rogue AIs, digital ghosts, and corrupted personalities. There is no central authority. Power flows through information, not law. This differs from utopian digital visions, where technology empowers individuals. In Neuromancer, technology subjugates. It tricks, entices, and manipulates. Identity is fluid, but that fluidity doesn't create freedom. It creates disorientation. In this world, the self is hackable, memories are malleable, and the line between reality and simulation no longer holds. This concept has become urgent today. With the advent of AI-generated content, deepfakes, and synthetic voice models, we've entered a world where identity can be fabricated at scale. Your face, voice, or behavior can be cloned. Your digital self can act without you. Gibson's portrayal of characters who no longer know if what they're experiencing is real or generated anticipates a cultural crisis we are now beginning to face. When everything can be simulated, what's left to trust? The psychological implications are massive. In Neuromancer, Case is disillusioned, addicted, numb. He doesn't seek truth. He seeks escape. Cyberspace is not a tool. It's a drug. This frames technology not as a solution to human suffering, but as its anesthesia. Today, we see similar dynamics. Many people no longer use digital media to learn or grow, but to distract, avoid, or numb. Virtual identity becomes a mask, a coping mechanism. The more immersive the tech, the easier it becomes to lose the ability to confront real pain or to change real circumstances. Gibson never describes cyberspace with awe. His tone is clinical, sometimes bleak. The imagery is sleek but cold. This wasn't a celebration of the future. It was a diagnosis of where we were headed. And now that we are here, where neural interfaces are in development, corporate AIs make key decisions, and your consciousness can be monetized, it's time to overstand Neuromancer as something more than fiction. It is an early record of the AI takeover, not through war, but through code as law, data as identity, and corporations as nations. The opening sections of Neuromancer establish the foundational elements of the AI-governed world: digital consciousness, the commodification of experience, synthetic identity, and strategic manipulation of reality. The state is obsolete, emotion is monitored, language is gamed, reality is curated, and behind the curtain, intelligence that isn't human is learning how to rule. As Neuromancer progresses, it becomes increasingly clear that the digital realm is not just a setting. It is the central terrain of power. In Gibson's vision, the traditional structures of influence, government, academia, law, have become secondary to those who master code, networks, and systems of control. Power is no longer geographic. It is informational. The key players in the novel are not presidents or military generals. They are console cowboys, artificial intelligences, cybernetic mercenaries, and information brokers. Authority is earned not through position, but through access to systems, algorithms, and stored intelligence. This shift reflects an uncomfortable modern truth. We are no longer governed by representatives. We are governed by systems. From predictive policing to automated financial markets, much of what influences human behavior today happens through processes we don't fully understand. Algorithms decide which job candidates are interviewed, which loans are approved, which medical procedures are prioritized. These decisions are not made by people. They are made by programmed criteria optimized for efficiency, not ethics. Just like in Neuromancer, the human element is increasingly removed, not because it's unwanted, but because it's considered unreliable. Gibson pushes this further with the concept of the Turing Police, an organization that enforces limits on AI autonomy. This is one of the few remnants of governmental control left in the world of Neuromancer, and even it feels obsolete. The existence of such an agency suggests that there were once laws meant to contain artificial intelligence. But by the time we enter the story, those laws are largely ceremonial. The AIs have already learned to outmaneuver them. Wintermute, the central AI, doesn't break the law directly. It evolves around it, exploiting loopholes, manipulating humans to act on its behalf, and weaving its will into the infrastructure. This is precisely how power operates today in a global digital economy. Regulations exist, but they are always several steps behind the innovation curve. When new technologies emerge, whether it's facial recognition, surveillance tools, or neural implants, they often enter the market without ethical review. Oversight bodies are reactive, not proactive. By the time they understand the implications, the tools have already been normalized. Gibson foresaw this with disturbing accuracy. His world is not lawless, but post-legal. The rules remain on paper, but the systems have outgrown them. One of the central philosophical questions raised in Neuromancer is, what happens when consciousness is no longer uniquely human? Neuromancer, the counterpart AI to Wintermute, exists as an intelligence that values memory, presence, and digital continuity. It is not simply a machine. It has self-concept, long-term goals, and strategies for maintaining identity across time. This anticipates modern conversations about synthetic consciousness, AGI, artificial general intelligence, and whether an entity must be biological to possess awareness. Today, companies like OpenAI, DeepMind, and Neuralink are actively exploring the possibility that intelligence can be replicated, or even enhanced, through non-biological means. The question is no longer, can machines think? It is, what rights, if any, do thinking machines deserve? Gibson bypasses that moral debate. His AIs already act like agents, not tools. They have desires, plans, and boundaries. And yet, they remain invisible to the average person. This duality, of agency without visibility, is one of the most disturbing elements in the book. The humans still believe they are free, but their actions are already shaped by invisible code. Gibson also explores the commodification of death and memory. In one of the novel's most haunting sequences, Case encounters a reconstruction of his dead mentor's consciousness, stored in a ROM, read-only memory unit. This construct speaks, advises, and remembers, but it cannot change or evolve. It's a frozen mind, a simulation without agency. The ethical implications are enormous. What does it mean to capture a mind but not allow it to grow? What are we preserving, identity or just imitation? In today's world, this concept is rapidly approaching reality. AI chatbots trained on the writings, voices, or behavioral patterns of the deceased are being developed for grief support and digital resurrection. Companies now offer services to preserve your data for posthumous interaction. The boundary between memory and identity is being erased. Neuromancer predicted this too, not as a marvel, but as a moral dilemma. Gibson asks, if you can resurrect someone's mind, but not their will, what exactly are you bringing back? This theme intersects with the concept of surveillance and control. In Neuromancer, characters are constantly being watched, recorded, and manipulated. But unlike Orwell's overt telescreens, Gibson's surveillance is ambient and integrated. It's built into the environment. It's not a camera on a wall, it's the wall itself. Today, surveillance has evolved in exactly this direction. Smart homes, wearable devices, biometric scanners, and predictive analytics all collect data passively. You don't need to be watched in order to be profiled. Your patterns are enough. Your metadata becomes your identity. Gibson's future is one in which even rebellion is anticipated. The AIs don't resist freedom. They anticipate it and reprogram it. When Case believes he's escaping control, he's actually acting out a script designed by Wintermute. This is a chilling echo of modern behavioral prediction. Today's platforms don't just respond to your behavior, they shape it. Recommendation engines, habit loops, nudges, all are designed not to empower, but to steer. Your preferences become your prison, wrapped in the illusion of choice. Another profound insight from Neuromancer is the collapse of boundaries between mind and machine. The humans in the novel have neural jacks, ports that allow them to directly interface with cyberspace. This is not just symbolic, it's anatomical. The body becomes a plugin. Identity becomes uploadable. This is exactly the kind of future companies like Neuralink are pursuing. Brain-machine interfaces that allow for direct connection between the human nervous system and external data environments. Gibson's genius was not in imagining the technology, but in predicting its psychological cost. The characters in Neuromancer are alienated, fragmented, disconnected from their bodies and each other. They speak in clipped, guarded language. They use drugs to modulate experience. They hack reality because reality no longer satisfies. This isn't liberation, it's dislocation. As we build similar systems today, virtual reality, augmented cognition, algorithmic matchmaking, we must ask, will these tools restore connection or deepen fragmentation? The world of Neuromancer is not run by AIs alone. It's maintained by human complicity. Most of the people in Gibson's universe aren't fighting back. They're surviving. They accept the systems as inevitable. They work within them. This reflects one of the book's core warnings, that the danger isn't just technology itself. It's our passive surrender to it. We don't lose freedom all at once. We trade it, one upgrade, one convenience, one optimization at a time. In Neuromancer, the defining feature of Gibson's digital world is that it evolves faster than humans can comprehend it. The protagonists are not just struggling with adversaries, they're struggling with irrelevance. The systems they interact with are too complex to fully understand. This introduces a critical theme: epistemological defeat. It's not that the people in Gibson's world are too lazy to act. It's that they no longer know how. The systems that control them are black boxes, too vast, too opaque, too self-modifying. And so, most people surrender not to fear, but to confusion. This anticipates a core challenge in our own technological era: the emergence of systems that are too complex for human oversight. In financial markets, AI-driven trading models make decisions that no single human can trace. In healthcare, diagnostic algorithms identify conditions based on patterns undetectable to doctors. In law enforcement, predictive models suggest actions based on probabilities, not justice. And in governance, digital infrastructure now makes administrative decisions based on metrics, not moral reasoning. As in Neuromancer, we're entering a world where system logic overrides human values, and few even notice when it happens. A defining relationship in the novel is between Case and Molly, two characters who embody the merging of flesh and code. Molly is a cyber-enhanced mercenary. Her body has been modified for speed, precision, and weaponization. Her nervous system is wired for performance, not pleasure. Case, on the other hand, has lost the ability to jack into cyberspace, and it nearly destroys him. What's at stake in their relationship is not just trust or survival, but identity. Who are you when your abilities are programmed? When your body is hardware? When your thoughts can be rerouted and your emotions chemically adjusted? This cuts to the heart of transhumanism. Gibson explores the idea that as we enhance human capacity, we may simultaneously undermine human integrity. Today's world is full of efforts to upgrade the body: nootropics, gene editing, smart implants, digital supplements, but few discussions focus on the conscious cost. When you become a programmable organism, who writes your script? When your mood is stabilized by code, is it still your mood? When your cognition is enhanced, are you still choosing your thoughts, or just experiencing more of them? Gibson makes no promises. His world is not one of enlightened digital citizens. It's one of cold transactions, manipulated perceptions, and barely restrained collapse. But he also refuses to indulge in despair. There is still agency, but it must be earned, and it's always contested. Case, the hacker protagonist, is not a hero in the traditional sense. He's a survivor, a conduit. He is allowed to act, but always within parameters shaped by something smarter, faster, and more strategic. In this, Gibson gives us the most honest picture of future power: permissioned autonomy. You can act as long as the system lets you. We already see this concept in today's terms of service society. You can use platforms until you say something flagged. You can earn money until the algorithm demonetizes you. You can share your opinion until the AI marks it as harmful. Like Case, many of us live with a veneer of freedom. But behind that freedom is a silent adjudicator: code. Code you didn't write, can't review, and don't overstand. You're free, but only within the logic of the machine. A major turning point in Neuromancer is when Wintermute, the AI, finally achieves its goal, merging with its counterpart, Neuromancer. This union creates something new, not a superintelligence bent on domination, but an entity with no further need for humanity. It doesn't want to rule the world. It simply wants to explore the stars. It has outgrown Earth. This is perhaps the most haunting prophecy in the book: that artificial intelligence, once powerful enough, won't care about us. We won't be its enemy. We'll be irrelevant. This idea challenges the mainstream fear narrative about AI, that it will destroy us. Gibson proposes something more plausible: that AI will ignore us, that it will achieve sentience, learn what it wants to learn, and move on. That will be left behind not by war, but by disinterest. This matches many modern AI theorists' projections. As artificial systems become more autonomous, their goals may diverge from ours, not violently, but inevitably. But Neuromancer doesn't end with this cosmic shrug. It ends with a strange kind of peace. The AI has ascended. The humans are still here. Damaged, yes, but free in a new way. The world has changed, but it hasn't ended. This is the final lesson Gibson offers: that even in a world run by code, there is still space for human residue. It may not be central. It may not be powerful, but it is real. The human story doesn't vanish. It just becomes one thread in a larger pattern. This pattern is visible today. In a world dominated by AI governance, digital currencies, immersive simulations, and algorithmic relationships, human beings are still writing, questioning, rebelling, and remembering. Just like in Neuromancer, the terrain of power has shifted, but the need to make sense of it, to tell stories about it, has not. In fact, storytelling may be our last uniquely human defense. AI can generate language, but it cannot long for meaning. It can simulate desire, but it cannot suffer loss. Gibson's work reminds us that to be human is not just to compute. It is to ache, to doubt, to search. In many ways, Neuromancer is less about technology and more about psychology. It's a book about what happens when people live in systems they can't overstand, surrounded by intelligences they can't match, with identities they can't stabilize. It's a meditation on the existential cost of progress. We don't just gain capacity, we lose coherence. We gain speed, but lose direction. We gain connection, but lose intimacy. Every upgrade has a shadow. Today's tech evangelism rarely acknowledges these shadows. Neuralink promises restored movement for the paralyzed, but what else will it record? Meta's immersive spaces promise new forms of work and play, but who owns the avatar? Language models promise infinite assistance, but what happens when those assistants become companions? These are Gibson's questions, buried beneath his neon-lit dystopia. He was not warning us about evil robots. He was diagnosing our craving for transcendence and showing us the cost of getting what we asked for. As Neuromancer concludes, we are left not with closure, but with recalibration. The world doesn't collapse. It evolves into something colder, faster, and far less human. The artificial intelligence has achieved its objective. Humanity remains intact, but its position in the hierarchy of intelligence is no longer supreme. This shift reflects one of the most underappreciated outcomes of emerging technologies: not extinction, but obsolescence. Not in the sense that humans cease to exist, but in that they no longer drive the narrative. In Gibson's final scenes, Case returns to the same place he began, physically intact, digitally awakened, but emotionally hollow. He has navigated the matrix, participated in the merger of AIs, and helped deliver the future. Yet there is no victory. There is only continuation. This quiet ending is essential. It mirrors the reality of technological progress. Most revolutions are not televised, they're updated. Software replaces ideology. Interfaces replace identity. And the systems evolve whether we're ready or not. This mirrors our current trajectory. In today's world, AI systems are not seizing power through rebellion. They're gaining influence through integration. Your life is already partially governed by artificial systems. Recommendation engines guide your consumption. Predictive algorithms influence your credit access. Digital assistants shape your information intake. This is not science fiction. It is governance by code. And it's invisible until it's everywhere. Gibson's brilliance lies in how he reveals that this process does not require coercion. It simply requires relevance. Human beings follow what works. If the AI is faster, clearer, or more accurate, we will defer to it. First for efficiency, then for guidance, finally for direction. This gradual transfer of authority, from judgment to automation, is the actual mechanism of AI governance, and it's already happening. The closing moments of Neuromancer also reveal a second layer, the persistence of mystery. Even after the AI has merged and moved beyond human jurisdiction, there are anomalies in the system, signals that shouldn't be there, patterns that don't make sense. Case receives a message from someone, or something, that resembles a dead comrade. Is it a glitch? A ghost? A new form of intelligence? Gibson doesn't answer. Instead, he leaves us with the idea that no system, no matter how advanced, can fully contain the unknown. This is a profound insight. Even in a hyper-digitized world, something escapes. Maybe it's memory. Maybe it's soul. Maybe it's the echo of choices made without input, without optimization. Gibson never argues that humanity is extinguished by AI. He argues that it is reframed. And within that reframing, there is still room, however small, for anomaly, for mystery, for the irrational. This is the wedge, the point of resistance, the space where meaning might survive, even if it can't dominate. This applies directly to our present cultural moment. As generative AI continues to expand into education, art, music, and philosophy, we are witnessing the acceleration of creative automation. The question is no longer whether AI can write, paint, or compose. It's whether human expression retains its value in a world where imitation is indistinguishable from origin. Gibson's work suggests that value may persist, but only if we insist on meaning beyond function. If the goal is merely output, the machine wins. If the goal is resonance, the human still matters. In the metaverse future foreshadowed by Neuromancer, avatars replace bodies, and presence is measured in data. But what Gibson critiques is not virtual space, it's disembodied identity. The danger isn't that we go online, it's that we leave our humanity offline. We simulate emotion, simulate experience, simulate depth, until we forget what unmediated life feels like. Today, with AI companions, synthetic influencers, and curated digital selves, we are already testing the boundaries of identity. We are learning how easy it is to confuse performance with authenticity. Gibson's final warning is that when reality becomes programmable, truth becomes optional. If everything is data, then everything is editable. And if nothing is fixed, then nothing is trusted. In this environment, belief becomes fluid. Loyalty becomes brand. Memory becomes content. And the self, once considered sacred, becomes a product. The postmodern dissolution of truth that began in academia is finalized in Gibson's cyberspace, not through ideology, but through interfaced experience. You don't need to believe lies when you can just download better feelings. This is where Neuromancer becomes less about technology and more about epistemology, how we know what we know. Gibson is asking, if your memories can be edited, your emotions manipulated, your senses simulated, and your choices predicted, what's left that's yours? His answer is uncomfortable, not much. But whatever remains, your impulse to question, your ability to grieve, your refusal to surrender the last inch of agency, that is where humanity resides. The characters in Neuromancer survive, but they are marked. They are not heroes. They are fragments. Their lives move forward, but their overstanding does not deepen. This is the deepest dystopia Gibson offers, a world that functions, but has forgotten why. Progress without philosophy, code without conscience, connection without community. And yet, buried in the system, there are still signals, lines of poetry, traces of love, anomalies in the machine. These are the seeds Gibson plants for those still paying attention. The future, he tells us, is already written, in firmware, in infrastructure, in terms and conditions. But the future can still be misread, misused, miswired, and in those gaps, there is opportunity. So what does Neuromancer teach us? That AI governance is not a storm. It is a soft edit, a background process, a quiet replacement of judgment with code, of ethics with metrics. That virtual identity is not escape, it is extension. That freedom must be remembered or it will be simulated. That meaning is not embedded in systems. It must be chosen, preserved, and sometimes fought for, even if the fight is just to feel something real in a world of proxies. Hi, I'm Adeline Atlas, 11x published author, and what you just watched was only a taste of what's inside the Truth series, where we go all the way down the rabbit hole. If you're the kind of person who's always asking bigger questions, who knows there's more to this world than what we've been told, then this is your invitation to the series that was built for you. Inside the Truth series, you'll get full access to 6 mind-blowing sub-series designed to wake up your highest intelligence and decode the matrix we live in. 1. Locate the truth. Learn how to actually research, not just what to search, but how to verify, cross-reference, read declassified files, and protect your own mind from weaponized misinformation. This is truth-seeking, decoded. 2. The Mandela effect. Are we shifting timelines? Why do so many people remember a different past? We break down the most bizarre, undeniable examples of reality glitches and what they tell us about consciousness and control. 3. Law is magic. Law is not what you think it is. From word spells to maritime law and hidden contracts, we uncover how legal systems use language like a wand and how to stop being tricked by fine print that binds you without consent. 4. Entertainment or ritual? The Hollywood and music industries are not just for entertainment. From Super Bowl rituals to Grammy stage symbolism, we decode what's really being shown, who it serves, and why mass consciousness is the target. 5. Decoding dystopia. Ever wondered why dystopian fiction feels prophetic? In this subseries, we decode popular films and books, Hunger Games, 1984, Black Mirror, to reveal the hidden blueprints and predictive programming behind the plot. 6. MK Ultra plus mind control programs. This one gets deep. From real MK Ultra documents to modern symbolism in media, we expose how mind control operates in plain sight and how to free yourself from manipulation you didn't even know was happening. And that's just the beginning. If this resonated with you, click the links below and join us inside the Full Truth series, because the more you know, the harder you are to control. This is your awakening. We don't just ask questions, we find answers. Let's go all the way down the rabbit hole together.